actually graduated high school and disappeared to the military for a couple years. Got done with that. My whole life I was always like, I'm not going to cut hair, because I grew up in hair salons. My mother, who also works here, I grew up, you know, she was a teacher at LaJane's, and she managed cost cutters up here on College Hill. And I was like, I'm never going to cut hair. No, I'm going to do something more manly. I joined the military, came home, and I didn't want to do college. All that military, you know, training and everything, I'm like, I just need a break. Sher's like, go to barber college so you figure out what you want to do with life. Next thing I know, I'm at 21 years now, cutting hair in the family business. The one thing I said I'd never do. Well, I hit a decade of my career, and I was like, oh man, when you hit a decade of your career, you're like, is this all I'm gonna do? Is this it in life? But what else do I know? Comics. I know comics. I'm a collector. I've been in them my whole life. So I put up this one wall, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing. So yeah, so that's the story of the comic store right there. How we became the world's first comic salon.
My dad started this. He came to Waterloo from Des Moines in 1947. Had a barbershop downtown Waterloo, and then in 1960s, 62, he moved to a neighborhood barbershop in Waterloo. And then I joined him in 1980, and we just outgrew that and came over here. So the butlers have been in the barbering profession for a long time. Both my sons decided to get into the barbering profession, and so we only had a 3-chair shop downtown. So we started looking for different areas to build the shop, and this was available. It's just nice to have a new facility. So then we started this family business and had 3 generations, and this month has been 16 years. 15.
What is it?
What made you want to become a barber?
Basically, me and my sister were just watching the commercial, and that was about it. You know, she just kind of was joking with me and said, "There's what you should do, Mook." And so I was like, "All right, yeah, give me a ride down there." And my great grandfather was a barber too, so thought it'd be kind of cool.
What's the most rewarding part about being a barber?
The feeling that people get when they leave. The feeling that, you know, I could, you know, get them a girlfriend, or, you know, get them a date that night, something like that, you know.
My name is Jay, the barber. The Finishing Touch Tattoo Barbershop. Been open for about 2 weeks now. Yeah. I've been a barber for about 4 years now.
What made you want to become a barber?
Honestly, I was always picky about my haircuts. You know, growing up, I used to give my barber a hard time all the time, and then I kind of just fell into the passion of it. You know, nowadays there's a lot of barbers that come out of school, and then, you know, they act like the world kind of owes them something, but, you know, it takes a lot of hard work, you know. So my only advice is just to stay down until you come up, and when you come up, stay down.
I'm William Burt, working here at Gray's Barbershop. I've been here about 7 years. I graduated from the College of Hair Designs in 2012.
My name is Eric Thompson. I'm a barber at Gray's, and I've been here a master barber off and on since 1996. I thought about being a barber, but I didn't really take consideration how, just the proper steps to take to it. And my dad had brought a pamphlet home from CAC. It was College of Hair Design, and they were located on LaPorte at that time. And he brought a pamphlet to me and had me fill it out. It was pretty simple. Went through the course of the schooling, and it was time for me to find a place to go. And I didn't really put too much thought into it. It was a fellow student that I was with, and we were going to go in together and do it. But he had took a little longer to graduate, so I had to find somewhere to go because I didn't have a job at the time. So at that time, I just came down to talk to Mr. Gray, and it was like an application process or anything like that. He just went on and just said, hey, whenever you're ready, you can start as soon as possible. So, and that's just how that got started.
Oh, and you can, yeah.
A good friend of mine was a barber. I talked to him one day. I wish my guy would sell. I want to buy him out, but he wouldn't sell to him. So I got a hold of Ray Hammond, took him across the river, a barbershop there, and I talked him into buying it. Paid $50. Came back and Butler said, I can't run the shop alone. Go to Barber College and become my partner. That's how it started. Yes, all regular. Well, we got a few walk-ins, but mostly about 80% appointments, 10% sneak in. Well, the biggest thing is I'm lonesome and I get a chance to talk to people. That's the biggest part of my happiness. People come in about, if you don't like them, a half hour they're gone. You're all done.
Hey. Let me get it together. I'm Justin Powell, owner and operator of the Fade Room, Waterloo, Iowa. I've been a barber about 7 years professionally. I started at the College of Hair Design in 2012 and graduated 2013 and been cutting hair professionally ever since. I've cut at 2 prior to this. This is the first one that I've owned. The clients over the years, I've had a lot of clients that I've gotten connected with and have close relationships with. So it's kind of hard to leave those people. As bad as sometimes you might want to, it's the clients and family that keeps me here.
I went to barber school in 1961, graduated in July, and I was hired as third chair in this barbershop. And over the years, I went from the third chair, the second chair, the first chair, and then I retired. I went to the parking lot and left. This place opened in 1959. The drugstore and this were built at the same time. That used to be a drugstore next door. Yeah, the building's still here. We're still here. I was working for a friend of mine. He was a painter. We were painting farm buildings, and houses and stuff, and it was a day just about like this. And I went home and I was complaining about this crappy weather and cold. My dad had just got a haircut, and he says, "Why don't you be a barber?" He says, "They're warm in the winter and cool in the summer." And that's how I got into it. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I went down and talked to barber school, and next thing I was a barber. So that's how that worked.
Yes, my name is Donnell Rivers, and I work at Brothers Barbershop in Waterloo, Iowa. Go by the cutting name Donnie Shears. I've been a licensed barber for 10 years. I graduated from the College of Hair Design in 2009. I came to the conclusion that if I wanted to make honest legal money, I needed to be in some type of trade. I had a long talk with my dad, and he said, you know, you do it already and you're good at it, you might as well go to school for it. And actually, all I ever wanted to be was an entrepreneur. And so this was a catalyst to start that, and I just fell in love with the trade and the people, and it just went on from there. We know, like when we moved in on this block, there's several other barbershops. We took it upon ourselves to go to them and reach out to them and talk to them. I mean, because I cut it, any and everybody here. So, like I walked into a store the other day with my hoodie on, and they said, "Oh, the competition." We don't consider anybody else competition. We just want to be our best and do the best that we can on a day in and day out basis. So if they see us as competition, that's them. For us, it's all love. That's why we call it brothers.
Well, I guess with me, the best thing about, I was very proud of Jess for being a barber. And in fact, I told him that one time. I said, "Don't you realize that you are considered a professional? You know, it's like, you are a professional." He was happy being a barber, so he just took it all for granted. And I said, but I was proud of him for being a barber. He tells everybody that the instant he saw me that he knew it was love forever and he was going to marry me. And all I remembered was thinking, who is this fool? Being married to Jess was also exciting. I mean, he never ever sit still. Jess didn't know how to sit still. He always had to be being active in something, you know, on the side or whatever. So there was always life. And what am I going to miss about him? It's already at supper time. We were just talking about that because he got home from work the same time that Eric did. And so then the three of us would always, you know, just fix supper or whatever and eat around the counter and then go into our separate places. And so that's going to be kind of lonely for a while.
And then I decided I wanted to work in John Deere's. So I only worked till, well, I went to work there, I suppose, in January, and along in May, I quit and went over and worked in John Deere's, something like 3-4 months, I don't know. And then I quit that, and I barbered in Waterloo, out there on Hammond. And then I left, well, let's see, I even tried it downtown on Water Street, but I was only there about 3 days. Them other barbers in there, they was drinking beer, sitting in their chairs, drinking beer between customers and everything. I didn't last there very long. And I was only I was 18. Well, then I went back to Ohlsson. I worked back in Ohlsson for a short time, and while I was working there, Scanlon came up from Independence. He talked me into coming down and working for him. I told him I'd stay for 2 weeks, but I didn't think I'd stay long. I didn't think I liked Independence. And I got down here, and I liked it real good. You know, I mean, I wasn't here a week, and I knew quite a few young people, and I liked it, and so that's how I stayed. I worked for Scanlon there for 8.5 years before I started my own shop.
What got you interested in barbering?
I was just born into it, I guess. Grandfather, father. I mean, when you really look at it, great-grandfather was a barber, grandfather's a barber, dad's a barber, brother's a barber, my aunt's a barber, my other aunt married a barber. Sometimes you just can't get away from what you're supposed to do. You try to get out, but you just can't. So I just decided that this is what I was supposed to do, is what I was supposed to do. And going, hanging out at the barbershop when I was a kid, and then when my dad had a barbershop in Trur, I'd go with him during the summer days, or I'd go on a Saturday with him and hang out at the barbershop. And
What type of experience do you want customers to have?
A rock and roll one. I want them to leave here just like energetic, rock and rolled out, ready to party.
Do you feel that way?
Always. Oh, wait, me. See, look at that. The narcissism just runs deep. Caleb, go ahead. Answer it again.
Yeah, it's always fun when I come and get my hair cut. It's always something to talk about, always something new going on. Usually leave here feeling like I got a good haircut too, and I can just go home and rinse out the extra hair that always gets stuck and style it back up. Good to go.
The most challenging aspect was fresh out of barber school, trying to build my clientele up. You know, people come in the barbershop and they're kind of used to who's cutting their hair. They're not quick to go into the new guy's chair. But my mentor told me once you do your job and you lay that haircut on that client, it could take you all day, but at the end of the day, you look up, you have a client, and then at the end of the year, you look up and you have 200 plus clients. So the challenges are to get the client in the chair, because the cutting part is easy, the talent is there. It's the everything else, getting them in the chair and making them feel comfortable.
You know, so just adjusting with the new haircuts and staying in the curve, you know, trying to stay ahead of the curve, actually.
So I know my dad cut hair for $1 or $1.25. He used to tell me those stories. I left Waterloo in 1984 to 1990 because of the economy here, and I know I started at $5 in 1984, and I think by the time I came back it was $9. So we charge $18 in here.
I think it was 9 cents. About 2 years, and then went to 10. And then it was easy. From then on, it was $1 every time.
Well, this is just according to my father told me the story, but you could buy a glass of beer for 10 cents. And back in those days, the barbers had a union, so the hours and prices, they had to vote on it. And so Dad would say the older barbers, they didn't want to go up 25 cents at a time, but that's kind of how they started to set the way they raised their prices. So anyway, they all voted yes. They raised to $1.25, and when the men came in to pay for the haircut, some of them were mad because 25 cents seemed like a lot of money when you could buy a draw of beer for 10 cents. But I'm not sure what excuse my dad told them, but get over it, because it didn't matter at that point in time where you went in Cedar Valley, all haircuts were going to be $1.25 because of the union.
How has it affected me? It hasn't affected us at all. I mean, I feel like, you know, everybody needs a haircut. you know, and everybody's gonna need a haircut for the rest of their life, so I don't really see the economy affecting us at all.
How has your prices changed throughout the years? You're still pretty new, but...
I mean, they've just changed as we evolve, you know, and as we get better as barbers. I feel you gotta know your worth.
It's 10 even. You got a 10?
I got a 10, yeah. That's all you want?
Yep.
Okay.
There you go. Appreciate it. Have a good trip down there.
If I could have anybody sit in my chair, it would probably be my late grandfather. He passed away when I was a young kid, so I haven't really had a chance to talk to him and get to kind of, you know, learn more of that side of my family history. So it'd be nice to have that conversation with him and cut his hair.
No. Let me see. Probably Dane Cook or something like that. Somebody funny, cool. Yeah, can I redo that? All right. Joe Squires, my mentor.
The most rewarding is the money, the money, but also it's just the fact that I can build the relationships, and I've seen a lot of growth since, you know, that's a lot of time I spent down here, and it's just like from me, just my attitude and how I've grown. That's probably one of the biggest rewards, because I've gotten a lot older, a lot more mature. Even the relationships, you know, the people's hearts I've touched, the hearts, you know, the others that have touched mine, and just the things I've learned, you know, just from natural, just not even having to go to college to learn some of these things, just for people to give me information and help, and to, you know, just give me inspiration and encouragement.
You build these bonds with people that are unforgettable, you know, and then I guess being a father, having my kids see in me, like if they want it, they can attain it. It's all about effort and hard work.
When I hand people the mirror and to see the reaction after they get a nice haircut, especially people that, you know, I've never been to a barber before, just that the whole experience for them, you know.
Something you need to know? I don't think kids should be scared, I don't think kids should be scared to tell their parents that they want to do something other than go to an academic college. You need to go be a welder, go be a barber, go be a carpenter, plumber, electrician. This is one of the best professions you can get in. My grandpa raised 4 kids, my dad raised 2 kids, my great-grandpa, even though he did a lot of other odd jobs way back when, he raised, you know, 2, 3, 4 kids. It's just, this is a good job, and I think people are scared to do a hands-on job nowadays. I think that's what everybody should know.
Everybody has to have a haircut. So I think that whether you go to a barber shop or a salon or whatever, it becomes personal. And you hopefully make a lot of friends, It's at my age now. It's interesting because I've done 3-generation families also. You know, I've done the grandfather and the son and the grandson. So it makes it kind of neat when you look back and get to know the families. And cut.